At Goldratt Research Labs, one of the advanced technologies that we use to help our customers make better, faster decisions and be able to predict more accurately what the impact of changes are simulation models, very advanced dynamic simulation models that are using agent-based and event-based logic. One of the simplest examples is the dice game. We've created a little app that will guide people through how playing the dice game. And the dice game is so extraordinary because it's a very good example of how even for systems that look relatively simple, it's really difficult to predict the impact of changes or the impact that variability and interdependency together has on the performance of the system. So how does it work? So imagine you have this little virtual factory. You've got 5 machines. Each machine, the output of that machine is determined by the throw of the dice for that day. So say you are producing tons of product every day. So every machine can produce between 1 and 6 tons of product every single day. And of course, the average per day would be 3.5. And the question is, if you have these 5 machines in series and they're feeding each other, how much will the system produce, that little factory produce after 20 days? We have a bias towards sometimes looking for an answer that we know the answer, looking for a question that we know the answer for, rather than really trying to understand it. So what's the simplest answer to the question? Oh, very simple, 3.5 per day each machine can do, times by 20, we should get 70. We let management teams play this game. And after 20 days, they are shocked to find out that they got about half of what they expected. And in fact, this is a very good approximation, is that in most real-world environments, just the impact of variability and interdependency causes the systems to perform at around 50 to 60% of what it's really capable of. Now, when you ask somebody, well, okay, so you got half out, you got about 35 out of the 70. How can you get more? The obvious thing is I need another dice. We need to double up capacities. That's the simplest way. Of course, most real-life environments have got budgetary constraints and time pressures, so that's not an option. We're not going to give you double the amount of capacity. You should have produced closer to 70. Of course, people can try to reduce the variability using Six Sigma. They can create little Kanbans to decouple the system. But the solution from a TOC perspective, theory of constraints perspective, is very counterintuitive. Why? What we realize is that that system, even though it looks very simple, is the most complex form of system because it has interactive constraints. When you have interactive constraints, you've got chaos, and you cannot manage chaos. It's impossible to accurately predict what the output is of any chaotic system. We know that from our weather systems. And the solution of theory of constraints is to create a constraint, is to slow one of the resources down, to maybe only be able to throw on average 3, so we stop it from throwing a 6. How will that increase output? Well, if you think about it, intuitively it shouldn't, but it actually does. Why? Because we've left protective capacity in front of that resource. So say we've made the middle one as the bottleneck and we stopped it from throwing a 6. Before that, they can still run at 3.5 on average, so they can build up some inventory in front of our constraint. And behind it, we can still run at 3.5, so they can quickly clear any inventory. And just by doing that, the constraint is never starved or never blocked. And as a result, the system performance is equal to the constraint performance, which now will be 3 times 20. So we've almost doubled the throughput of that little factory, going from about 35 to close to 60 by creating a single constraint, by slowing down the system. And that's one of the counterintuitive solutions that we often find in real-world environments. We have to slow down things to make it go faster to get more out.